Find us on Facebook, email us at head2headpinball@gmail.com, or go to our website at head2headpinball.com.
Welcome again, everybody, to the Head2Head Pinball Podcast. This is our 4th episode. Ryan, did you think that we would last this long?
We're breaking records left, right, and centre here, Marty.
We're doing pretty good. Yeah, we're doing okay.
Lots of people listening. We got listeners in Japan, in China. They're all over the place. So things are going good.
Absolutely, and our listeners the numbers are going up each week. So that's really good to see. Keep listening. And if you want to get in touch with us, go to our website, head2headpinball.com, or you can email us at
head2headpinball@gmail.com, and the 2 is the number 2, not the TWO. Another big week in pinball, Marty?
Yeah, yet another week where we thought we wouldn't have anything to talk about, and we've got a lot to talk about. And probably starting with you this week, did I hear that you went to another pinball comp?
I did, Marty, and you weren't there. You abandoned me.
Oh, no.
I ended up going to the Golden Fleece twice this week. One for the pin golf tournament, which is awesome, and the other one was to show you an exclusive preview of the Thunderbirds playfield artwork. That's right. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but I had to show you in person. Yeah, and Jeff thought I was coming for his birthday, but it was literally just I wasn't allowed to email to you. So sorry, Jeff. I lied. I didn't come for your birthday. It was purely for Marty.
No, you did go to his birthday. We can edit that bit out. Don't worry.
Okay, we'll edit it out. Yeah, totally.
So how'd you go?
Yeah, pin golf was good. It was I was matched up with Vicky. She was my partner. That makes it a bit more fun. And it's a different twist on just trying to score a high score. The only thing, my only little gripe, which isn't big, and I said I don't really care about it too much, and I talked to Jeff about this, is that once you go over par, like that's it, you scored 1+. So like for Metallica, for example, like I was on a bit of a roll in Metallica on my first ball. You had to spell Metallica, so left ramp, right ramp, and then to get Lady Justice.
Yep. And
I hit every single letter on the first ball except one, right? So feeling pretty good. The ball drains. And the par was 2 on Metallica. So second ball, had a bit of a bad ball, and it drained. So that's it. So I got +1 on Metallica, whereas someone who didn't get any letters also get +1. So it'd be, I've heard, I'm not sure if this is true, but I've heard that other pin golf, tweaks on the rules allow you to kind of like go 1 or 2 over, so you can still have like a legit score. But it didn't matter anyway. Richard came in and got like a 10-8 or
I think it was 10-8, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just like, I think like the first ball on every single machine except one. So it's not a big deal, but it was fun.
So have you got the tournament bug yet? Is it a thing?
I don't have the tournament bug, but I've realized that people that play tournaments are way more social than people that don't play tournaments. I almost thought it was like the other way around for some stupid reason, but organizing an event at your house or something, it takes so much more effort than like, hey, let's all meet at the Golden Fleece, or let's go to Pinball Paradise, or let's go to the Sandbout, like every month.
I'm pretty sure, having done a tournament for you, it's a bit more complicated than that.
Oh, no, sorry. Okay, I'm not trying to belittle how easy it is to organize, but like, I don't know. You don't have to ask the venue if it's okay. Or do you? I don't know. Do you have to ask the venue if it's okay to organize it? Like if you're doing it monthly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, this is the deal then.
This is the learning side of it, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the deal then. You guys are like motivated to do it, where people that like do it in their house have like no motivation. They're like, oh man, I gotta order pizzas, and people are gonna be like mudding up my house, get my pinballs working properly. My point is, like, in winter, like no one holds pinball meets because everyone's just like too cold and can't be bothered.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a good way to. I saw people that I hadn't seen in a while, and it was good.
Well, and that's what I've said about particularly in Australia, the weekly or the monthly comps that we have are very social. In fact, most of it's just get together and have a bit of a chat and talk about pinball and play some pinball. And there's obviously going to be some people that are really competitive, and that's important to them. But for the majority of people, and there's people that go, I'm not going to mention them, but there's people that go every week or every month, and they will come last, second last, third last, down the bottom all the time, and they still have so much fun because it's about meeting people and talking pinball.
Yeah, I ended up we had a break, a little break, because the machines we wanted to go on were occupied, and I just went down to have some dinner, and then I ended up talking to Fabian and Phil for like an hour, and then I just went to I didn't even finish the last two holes. Sorry, but that was just as fun as playing pinball, is just talking to people that you haven't seen in a while about pinball. So that was pin golf. That was fun. Thanks to Jeff for organising that. And some other news this week is Riser buys 3 pinball machines and gets hit by his wife.
So you did message me during the week saying that you were potentially getting new machines, and I think I said to you, maybe you're doing that for podcast material, but that's actually what you do. You buy pinball machines all the time.
I do.
And I keep telling you, you're addicted.
I am addicted, but hey, I'm doing all right. I've managed. I still sell them. And I said my wife kind of practice shits at me, but she never gives me a hug or a kiss when I sell one. It's always the opposite. So, I put up a wanted thread a while ago for a whitewater, because I hadn't played one in a while, and I played one up in Queensland. A guy called Mark, awesome guy. Shout out to him. He had like a really nice whitewater, and I played it for the first time in a while. Sorry, and I was just like, wow, I forgot how amazing this feels when you hit like the left ramp and it goes up to the upper playfield without any kind of stop and go. It was just, I just felt awesome, and I thought I gotta have this again. I gotta give this a second go. And I put up a wanted thread like a month or two ago, and someone finally contacted me and said he's got one. He's also got a Demolition Man, and I was like, all right, let's just get them both. Just get them both. Why not? I haven't had Demo Man before, and it's on the list of things to tick off. So that'll be arriving in about 2 weeks or so, I think. Okay. And
have you got the third pin?
I've got to move out Fishtails to have room for it. Okay. Which was going to move out anyway, which would absolutely devastate my 2-year-old. But yeah.
And you got a third one.
And third one, I was going to buy it, and then he finally decided to do a swap, like a temporary swap. It was a Family Guy Simpsons Pinball Party swap that I was going to do. The guy backed out of it and said he's just going to sell the machine. And so I went over to his house with cash to kind of check it out and buy it. And then I convinced him to swap it. So it really is only two pinball machines I'm buying, but 3 new pinball machines in the house in the next 2 weeks. So exciting times ahead. And another bit of news is my kid, my eldest, 5 years old. I've literally been trying for the last 4 years or so to get her into pinball, and she just doesn't care about it. I mean, she pretends to care when people are around that play pinball, when people bring their kids over. But she's not feeling it. And I somehow managed to, a little light bulb moment went off in her head, and my kid is now really into pinball. And I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's lasted about 3 days so far. She wants to play pinball when she wakes up. She wants to play pinball when she comes back from school. And not only is she doing that, she wants to play the pinballs that she's never played before. Like Lord of the Rings has been sitting there for, 2.5 years. And she just takes one look at it, and, she's into rainbows and fairies and ice cream and sprinkles and My Little Pony and, all Dora the Explorer. She's a very girly girl. And she wanted to play Metallica, and she wanted to play Lord of the Rings, and that's all she's cycling through in between the moment. And I'm going to tell you how it happened quickly, because just in case someone has a kid and they're trying to do the same thing that I was trying to do, trying to break through those barriers.
Well, I've got 3 daughters, and none of them are into pinball, and it breaks my heart.
How old are they?
They are 10, 7, and 3.
Okay. It's almost like the harder you push, the more they don't care, right?
Well, they're too busy on their iPads. That's just hard to get them off that.
Okay. The iPad has been lost, i.e. it's up in a bookshelf, so they can't find it. The battery died, the port stuffed up, it's broken. So basically, I was playing Attack from Mars on my own, and she was around me. And I realized that when the ball was coming off the rails into the in lanes, it was jumping over the switch. So I said, okay, well, obviously I've moved it a little bit, it needs to be adjusted so it doesn't rattle around and jump over it. And I asked her if she would like to help me do that. So I took off the glass and I gave her the balls, and she was placing on top of the rails, and they were rolling down, and I kept on adjusting the rail until it was right. And for some reason, and then I was like, okay, well, like instead of dropping them on the ramp, can you please like throw it up the ramp so it does the full loop, so it's at full speed. And like something clicked in her head, like, because when she plays, she can't hit the shots, but when she was throwing the ball, she could kind of like figure it out. So then I turned the machine back on and put closed the coin door, and we played a game of Attack from Mars, just holding the ball, cheating pretty much.
Yeah.
But from that, she kind of like learnt the game, and it made more sense to her. And then she wanted to put the glass back on and actually play. And I've got mine set up pretty hard, so I've changed it to I think 6 balls or something. I'll do anything to get her interested. And it said it's worked. She wanted to play every single machine on that day. She went through and played one game on every machine, and she realized she likes Metallica and Lord of the Rings. I said that to her, those machines were terrifying. And she's starting Sparky multi-ball, and his eyes are popping out of his face, and she's laughing, and I'm like, what is that? Like, where's my kid gone? Where's my kid who's like afraid of everything gone? She's like absolutely loving it. And I did a little 1-minute interview that we're going to play now. She was rocking out on Metallica. We did the same thing on Metallica as well, where I took the glass off. I went through every single one of the multi-balls, Snake, Coffin, etc., just so she knew how everything worked. And so then she played a couple of games, and then she's like, I want to play Wizard of Oz now. And let's cut to the interview.
So, what pinballs did you play today?
Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Metallica.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And Attack from Mars.
All right. And Metallica and Lord of the Rings, you've never played them before. It was the first time you played them today, even though I've had them for a long time. What did you think of them?
I like them.
Yeah. And what was your favourite part of Metallica?
Shooting Sparky.
Yeah. Getting Sparky a multi-ball?
Yeah.
Yeah. Electrocuting him? Mm-hmm. What sound does he make when he gets electrocuted? And what did you think of Wizard of Oz after playing Metallica?
It's a bit babyish.
It's a pinball for babies?
No, it's a bit babyish.
Okay. But you still like playing it, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I'll see you later. Say bye.
Bye.
Okay, and that was the interview.
Yeah. So
Wizard of Oz is it's a bit babyish.
it's a bit babyish, which is as I said, to me, it might not mean anything to someone else, but Wizard of Oz is the only game she's been playing for the last couple of years. So for them to her to get into the whole rock and roll thing, well, Metallica's not really rock and roll, is it? More hardcore music. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
it's exciting stuff.
Good stuff.
Sorry, and the last thing I want to add about that, is she was really getting into the rules. Like when she was playing Lord of the Rings, she was pointing to the ring section down the bottom, and she was asking about what the rings meant and how do I collect the dwarf rings, and then she made sense of that in like 2 minutes. Whereas I know people that have played Lord of the Rings 50 times that don't know what the rings mean in the middle.
You had to explain that to me the other night when I was there. I've never bothered. I just need to know how to get multi-ball. And I don't need to know the details of it. Just get me multi-ball, and that's all I need.
This is a good thing. I mean, like, she is a rule freak with like following rules at school and stuff like that. Like, maybe she will become a good pinball player, and the reason why she'll be so good is because she knows the rules back to front. So, yeah, that was good.
Good stuff.
The last piece of news for me for this week is, unfortunately, I am out of Star Wars LE.
You are. You did tell me that.
Yeah,
and I had a lot to say, but I didn't say anything. I'm disappointed, but I'm disappointed because
you just want to stream the film. You just want to stream the film.
Yep. Two reasons. One, you're the only person I know that was getting one, so I don't have access to that. Okay. And B, it meant I could stream it from your place. So very disappointed, and all of my viewer on Twitch is very disappointed.
Well, the good news is that I well, I knew about 8 people getting it, and now we're down to 2. There's 2 people that are still getting it.
So why do you think? Like, I mean, obviously, I read on forums, everybody, and every machine that's come out, everyone's always said, "Oh, that's it. I'm cancelling my pre-order," and pitchforks and all that kind of stuff. But this time, it's happened.
I think it's well, I mean, there's still a lot of people that are still in.
Yeah, but they're not sold out anymore.
I think it's just hit a tipping point, and I think the tipping point might, well, it's to do with a lot of things. The beloved theme, kind of gets the art gets kind of exaggerated, but I think it's also what's coming next. There's more pinball manufacturers around, and expos around the corner where there's rumored to be another title. So, if you miss out on it, or if you drop out, you're not waiting another year for a title you might like. You've got options.
Yeah. I think you've also got, really, the premium will always be made, so it's going to be close enough to the LE. You're not really going to miss out.
Well,
on that much.
sometimes the LE is just super special, and you just have to get it. You might be really attracted to lime green on Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And say, I have to have that ugly Slimer on the sides. I want that.
Well, that looks great. That LE looks great.
Yeah, I don't mean ugly in a way like it's offensive. It's just like here's an ugly ghost.
An ugly ghost,
right?
yes.
Yeah, and you represented well. So, I mean, the reason why, and just before I get into this whole thing, in no way do I want to convince people to back out of their order. I'm not talking about this to kind of, I don't want people to follow me or come to their senses or whatever other people have been saying. I'm just literally explaining why I, Ryan, backed out of Star Wars. Just my opinion. So I was kind of back and forth on it a lot every day, and I literally had to get a piece of paper and write the pros and cons of me getting the machine down, because it just was kind of like swimming around in my head. And the pros were, it's Star Wars, all right? It's like, awesome property to make a pinball machine from. 2, it's Steve Ritchie. I love Steve Ritchie games. They're fun. AC/DC, Star Trek, right up there for me in my top 10. And yeah, it looks fun. It's I'd like the hyperdrive. I like the sound. The cons, the biggest con, and probably like the main reason why I cancelled is I don't like games that have insane multipliers. I like either no multipliers or double scoring, or if it's anything higher than double scoring, then it's got to be really risky or really hard.
Right.
Like I don't mind the triple scoring on 3x on AC/DC. I don't mind in Wizard of Oz that you can I think 6x certain shots if you have both playfields running at the upper playfields running at the same time. So yeah, it's the whole 40x thing. I don't know. I know it's not super easy, and maybe Josh Sharp and Keith Alwyn made it look easy on the first stream they did with the Pro, but I don't. It's the same problem I had with Ghostbusters. Is I want to be rewarded for having good flipper skills, and I know people say, well, the flipper skills is to get the multiplier up and then go for your shots. Yeah. I don't like that. It's just I don't know. It's just I feel like the whole score is based off just that.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a swing and a miss. I think they've tried to have some sort of advancements in gameplay via rules, because there is always pressure for them to do something different. I mean, if you look at Aerosmith, before that came out, I knew it was a Borg, and I thought, I wonder if it's going to be like a greatest hits. And the layout was a greatest hits, but even more so, the rules borrowed some of the best bits and of lots of previous Sterns, and it just became a greatest hits. But it didn't really have any certain rule that was new or different. Like, when they introduced the pop bumpers giving you a random award, that was a good innovation when it comes to rules. This isn't.
That was actually in it wasn't in Who Done It, but I mean the reels, the physical reels of Who Done It. But it was the first time I think it was done in the pops, which was, I don't know, I don't mind that being in there because it's better than the pops just kind of doing nothing.
And then super pops or whatever, which is as useful as a spinner these days.
Exactly. So it was just I think I would absolutely love the machine for a couple of months, and then I'd just be like, I said exactly what happened to Ghostbusters. I had it for 2 months, loved it, bought it, because it was on. I was borrowing it at the time. Bought it off the guy, and then I sold it after a month. As soon as I bought it, it kind of clicked that, yeah, this is a machine that I like. It's a lot nicer to play games that you don't own. Just like you know, if I bought Star Wars, you'd come over, you'd play it, you'd be like, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, chuck it in your house and pay $12.5 for it, and you have I don't know. For me, this is personally, like,
Yeah, it's
you know,
fair enough.
I'm sure people will love it. People that are still in on it, you know, you'll love your machine if you like Star Wars, I think. But not for me. All the extra stuff that people are cancelling for, like the potential cab issues and playfield issues, the whole warranty thing. You know, there's a lot of reasons. You know, the no backlash, no shaker, no signature on the playfields. That's just the icing on the cake. I mean, I can deal with all that stuff, but the multiply thing I can't deal with. And it kind of got me thinking, like, if games, like the two games that people always mention that are the best games out there from Stern in the last 15 years, what are they, Marty?
Oh, geez, I would say Walking Dead, Metallica.
That's right. So both Lyman Sheets rule set, both John Ball designs. Yes, both John Ball designs.
Yep.
And what? Metallica has double scoring, right? Is that it? Just one double scoring?
Well, yeah, you can stack it. So you get double scoring if you light the snake in multi-ball, if you get all the picks and then go in there. Plus, you've also then got the fuel shot.
Yeah. So does that mean it's 4x?
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty hard to do. Not hard, but you know, like it's not, you know, hitting a 3-target bank in the middle. Walking Dead has a 10 times multiplier shot and a 2 times playfield shot.
Yeah.
So you can get up to 20x, but as soon as you make the shot or miss the shot, that multiplier is gone.
It's done. Yeah. Use it or lose it.
Yeah. Whereas 40x, right? 40x on a Steve Ritchie game, you have to move the multiplier around. So the best thing about Steve Ritchie game, flow.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Stopping and starting and moving the multiplier around is the opposite of flow. And I'm sure people will get really good and quick at doing it, but I don't know. As I said, it's I think it just takes it a little bit too far for me.
I think most people just put it on their favourite shot and leave it.
Yeah, possibly the easiest shot in the game or something. You know,
and I think one of the characters, maybe it's R2D2, has a spread of shots that you can then put it on. Again, rules. I want to play it first before I make up my mind. So there's obviously lots of forums that we can do, and there's feedback back and forth, and arguments back and forth, and people trying to convince other people that they're idiots for still being in on it. I'm just going to block that noise out. I've heard the arguments. I now want to play it, and I want to make up my own mind by the physical experience of playing it. And if I think, okay, it's not that exciting, then I'll move forward. But I'm not in on it, so it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
But I'm not in on it because I'm probably not going to be in on a new Stern until a theme comes along that I love.
Roller Games 2.
Roller Games 2.
Just a really quick correction on the multiplier thing. When it's at like 2x or 3x, there's a spread of like 3 shots.
Sure.
The higher up it goes, it'll then go to 2, and it'll then go to 1. So keeping it on 40x is literally on 1 shot, and the timer runs out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
so it is pretty hard. It is well thought out. It's just...
Well, it's what I said, I think probably last podcast. It now just really separates the really good players to everybody else. So,
are you really good, Marty?
No, I'm not that good, and also I don't have good attention span, so I'm not going to bother with that stuff. I would be the kind of person that says, you know what, I'm always good at that right ramp. It's the only shot I consistently hit. I'm just going to park it there, and I'll be happy with it. But you know what?
And that might work. I might be worried about something that I don't need to be worried about.
Well, I think so. But it was also when Game of Thrones came out, everyone talked about how complicated the rules are. Looking back now, they're actually not that complex. That you had all the different houses, but at the end of the day, nobody really chose all the houses. It was always, at the particular time,
Martell.
Pick Martell or pick Greyjoy or whatever it is. And then people worked their way through the rules, quite easily in the end. There was just a bit of a learning curve. I think this one's probably got a bit too steep of a learning curve for certainly the casual player, and from the feedback I'm getting from the good players as well.
Yeah, I still think I think casual players can still enjoy it though.
Yeah.
Chuck the ball in the hyperloop, whizzes around.
That's right.
It's a spectacle. So that's enough about me, mate. That's way too much about me.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah. What have you been up to? I hope a really small amount. No, just joking.
In the 2 minutes that we have left for this podcast, look, I did my streaming again this week, and as I'd reported last week, my Hobbit came back. So I streamed that twice this week, and I've fallen back in love with it. And I think the reason being is, and I was talking about this to Bruce from the Slam Tilt podcast. He was watching me play and telling me how much he hates The Hobbit, and I was trying to tell him how much he's wrong about that, and we were getting nowhere. But here's what had happened. So it had been on site for, I don't know, maybe 3-4 months. But when I put it on site, I took out the middle post, put all the outlanes out, and really toughened up the rules. So now it's tough to play, and therefore it's fun and challenging, and you're not getting everything at once and going, okay, well, that's it, nothing else to do. So you've got to toughen up that game to enjoy it. Otherwise, it's just too easy. You see everything you need to see, and there's only so many times you can do that.
Yeah, I think I'll bring mine back home once the final super, unless the final super duper wizard mode is like just unbelievably impossible. But if it's well, I mean, they're all impossible for me. But I like to think that I can have that 1 in a million game where I can get it. But as long as it's not completing the 31.
That's what I heard it was going to be, but there's still no word in it, so who knows?
Have to wait and see. No. But Bruce always, Bruce Nightingale from Slam Tilt Podcast, always complaining about The Hobbit. When I come to TPF, Bruce, and you basically have a challenge where people can challenge the Slam Tilt Podcast to a duel. I'm choosing one of the games has to be The Hobbit, because if you guys are gonna boast about your unbeaten record, one of the games has to be on The Hobbit, Bruce.
Okay, well,
I'm just throwing it out there.
All right, that's a significant challenge. So that's where at the Texas Pinball Festival.
Yeah, that's in March next year. I haven't booked in tickets yet, but a friend of mine who lives in the US, shout out to Charles Thomas, he's already booked a hotel room for both of us. So I'm going. Otherwise, I have to pay him for a hotel that I'm not going to be there.
Well, look, to appease Bruce, to keep him interested in my stream, we then started teaching him Aussie slang. So he's promised me in the future we'll be hearing some of it. So you can blame me for that. But that was lots of fun.
Just not in an Aussie accent. He's just got the absolute worst accent.
No, it's Ron does the Aussie accent.
Yeah, Ron's got it going on.
Yeah. So, but speaking of the Slam Tilt podcast, we thought they were our friends.
Yes, we did.
But we did receive a very formal cease and desist from Hallett Nightingale and Takei Solicitors. So
yeah, a piece of news coming out from the podcast is we got a cease and desist. A piece of news.
So I don't know whether we can mention it any further. Our lawyers are in touch and writing up a reply as we speak.
What a bastard! I mean, he was helping me out this week with my Tron while they're suing us. The audacity. The audacity.
Yep. Can't trust them. So speaking of podcasts, we also had a shout out from the Eclectic Gamers podcast this morning. So they do video games as well as pinball, and I listened to them for the first time, I'll admit, this morning. It's a great podcast. So thanks, guys, for listening, and you are now on my rotation of podcasts. And Pinheads are back.
Pinheads.
6 months later. Back. I know. Probably a little bit longer, because I think it was December, wasn't it? And we're now in, August?
Oh, no. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's a long time. It was just, it was funny, because I woke up this morning to a message from Ryan saying, oh my God, Pinheads are back. And I opened up my podcast app, and there it was. And it was just this really, I know it sounds weird, it was this joyous moment to go, oh my God, they're back. Just like when there was an episode of Coast to Coast when it came back. It's like, you guys got to realise that you're a part of our lives, and then you just go.
I was about to go to sleep, and I was like, I'll just listen to 5 minutes. I think I wrote that to you. I'm like, I was just going to listen to a couple minutes before I go to bed. Yep. You were already asleep.
I was.
And then I went to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning because I just listened to the entire thing. So yeah, that's good. Hey, Marty, before we move on, there's another piece of news that I put in the show notes that you've gone over because you don't know what it means. The dot point is Marty neglects his flaps. You have no idea what that means, do you? You think it's dirty, but it's not.
It is dirty. How could I neglect my flaps? What do you mean?
Okay, you were streaming The Hobbit. I was watching.
Yes.
Your ramp flaps are still the silver ramp flaps, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they curling a bit on the end? No?
No.
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 Okay, so you're not neglecting your ramp flaps.
No. Oh, is that what you mean?
Basically,
that's not as dirty as I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, it's not even good podcast content. I just wanted to freak you out by talking about your flaps.
It was on the show notes all day. I'm looking, going, what flaps have I neglected? This is just dirty. You being dirty again. They
meant to use spring steel, which is not meant to like bend. It's meant to kind of be flexible, and they use the wrong type. So you can message them, and they send you the right ramp flaps. They're now turned black, not turned black, but they're black instead of the normal steel.
Okay, well I should do.
You haven't played yours enough because basically
I haven't.
Curl up, and it would slow the ball going up the ramp. When you finish recording this, before you start editing and putting it together, go and have a look and see if it has to be absolutely flush with the playfield.
Okay,
and
I will send you a picture and you can tell me whether my flaps are flush.
No, that's dirty.
So, is it time to get on to the pinball news? What's happening? Well, after we mentioned last week about the Jurassic Park Colour DMD, a new one has just been announced, only very recently.
A couple of hours ago.
Yeah. Champion Pub.
Yeah.
Yeah, for all the 400 people that own them.
What? There's like at least 1,000. How many is there? It's like about 3,000 or 1,300? Something.
Yeah.
Do you know how long mine lasted? Mine lasted 2 weeks, I think.
You had one?
Yeah, I've had one.
You know, I get that it's, considered rare and all. I just don't like it at all.
You know what really got to me in that game? It's not the layout and the rules and that kind of stuff. It's the voice work on that game is almost funny, but it's not.
I know.
It's not funny at all.
I know.
I was just like, because you play like games from that same era, like Attack from Mars and Medieval Madness, and like I just find everything hilarious, right? Yeah. Not like laugh out loud hilarious, but I'm grinning, right? In Champ Pub, it was like, they turn around and it's like Dan Under, and it's like, he's gonna say something funny, and then he does it, and then
doesn't.
Like the Chinese. It's just like a racial stereotype. Like, let's just go all the racial stereotypes.
I know.
I don't know. It's not a horrible game, but
no. 1,369 units.
Yeah.
So when was that? In 98. So I don't know. For the time, was that a lot? Not many, I would say. It wasn't many.
No, that was the downfall of.
It was really at the tail end of it, wasn't it? And I think they were really trying to do things that were interesting. So they put that bag with that ugly guy that turns around, and I get that they went for something that when you walk past, you look at it and you say, "Oh, that looks interesting." It just wasn't interesting to play.
You know what my wife said when she first played it? She said, the first guy turned around and then he turned back. And then when she was versing the second person, she's like, how come he hasn't changed? I'm like, well... It's like,
That's right.
I'm defeating the same person every single time, but the person's... And I was just like, what can they do? But, I always find it interesting to get her takes on things because I'm like, if she doesn't like something that...
She just keeps it real.
Yeah. Anyway.
We'll get her on one day when she's done. And what's the next piece of news?
The next... we can't use piece of news. I was joking about that because that's another copyright.
Which one now? We can't say what?
We can't say a piece of news. That was my joke, but you're saying it now. We're gonna get another letter from K Industries. We can't say. Okay, I'll go through the list quickly.
Can we say pinball? Okay, someone bloody copyrighted that bloody.
We have to say tribal from now on.
We have to say M-ball.
We can't say time to pay the bills.
Yeah. So what's happening this week in P-ball news?
P-ball news. Zed Sharp. Gets a job at Stern.
Yeah.
So he's kind of replacing Jody, but Jody's still there doing licensing stuff.
Licensing and business development.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good thing, and I think it's a good thing because usually licensing probably has a part to do with marketing as well. So it's probably good to split those roles. I was talking about it earlier. I love the press release that says he's currently the number one ranked pinball player in the world on the front of the IFPA website. And if you look over the world rankings, Kaylee George is now number one because the Pinberg points just went through. So it's quite funny to have that article side by side. It's old news. Like, you're only as good as your last comp last week.
Yeah.
But
I think it's good. I think Stern's marketing has everyone baffled.
Well,
I'm not a marketer, but it just doesn't seem right. Like the way they release information and release pins.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, so this is why I was sort of like, the question I wanted to ask is, what do we expect from marketing at Stern? Because, is there a pinball machine that has been released, let's say in the last 4 years, I'll say 4 years, that you weren't aware of when it was released?
No.
No, you knew about it, didn't you?
Yeah.
The pinball community
sure.
knew about it, right? So everybody that's on the forums and everybody that's going, blah, 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 it's actually not, I don't think it's about them personally knowing about the machine. I just think everybody wants the world to love pinball as much as we do. And so they want Stern to get the name out there and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing so other people know that there's this group of people that still play pinball. And so when we go up...
Yeah.
So when we go up to somebody at the pub and say, hey, I'm into pinball, they go, oh, yeah, cool, I know all about pinball because I saw that ad.
Yeah.
Well, what do we expect? What do we expect from... And what do we expect Zach is now going to bring to this role now that he's in marketing? What is your expectations, Ryan?
Well, I don't even... Yeah. I mean, I care about the growth of pinball, but I think it's... I mean, what the first thing he needs to do is just kind of like... Not increase, because there's a lot of communication from Stern. It's just like, tell the story better. I mean, they have the market. They have the market position. They have competitors, but their biggest competitor is themselves, and they're kind of like self-sabotaging at the moment, right? When we had the ghosting issues, and they were kind of like sticking their head in the sand for a while, and it all ended up sorting itself out. But I think it was even like when people complain about dimples, for example, and then George Gomez went on Chris's podcast, and he explained it. He said, we're putting more clear coat on the pinball machines, and that's going to lead to like more dimples, but like that'll even out over time. But because we're putting more clear coat and it looks more shiny, that's the after effect of it. And everyone's just like, well, shit, why don't you like say that before? And people are like, oh, I already knew that. But you can't assume that people know everything, and you have to kind of tell the story of what's going on more than just, I don't know. I don't think there's like a human face to Stern as much as there should be. It seems like a big corporation, a big kind of corporation that
I get that.
They do the Facebook Live videos and stuff, but
yeah, and I guess the face to Stern really has been obviously Gary Stern and Jody Dankberg, but now you've got, I mean, and obviously the designers as well. But now you've got Keith Elwin, who's a very famous face, and you've got Zach Sharp, a very famous face. Now again, sort of humanizing this company, which was a point I made last week about, these are real people putting their passion into this. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. But also, the point I want to make is that he's director of marketing, and I'm wondering whether that's marketing and whether he's going to be responsible for communications as well, because they're very different things.
Well, I think Jared does the whole Facebook thing.
He does social media, but that's only Well, it says that.
Who do I message to get unbanned off their Facebook page? That's what I want.
Well, it does say that Zach had previously done integrated marketing, social media, community engagement, consumer marketing, and strategy development. So maybe his title as director of marketing is all encompassing. But I agree. I think that they need to be proud of what they're doing and present that pride in their work, as opposed to just having images leaked or a 30-second slot in a video on a
Star Wars fan club site. Yeah,
I get
that was the most confusing one.
I know. I just think they need to just stand up and be proud and every word and every way they present the wording and the machines needs to show that pride in what they do. And I think that's kind of what people are sort of getting bummed out about, is that, you know, they're proud about these machines. They love being pinball players and they love pinball machines. Can't they meet that level of excitement with how they are presenting their product?
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
there you go.
We'll see how we go.
There's my little soapbox.
Has he started working there already? Possibly. He would if it's announced, the contract will be signed. So I guess we'll see with the next pinball machine that's announced.
At least he already lives there.
If there's any difference, right?
Yeah, it'll be easier for him to start because he doesn't have to move like Keith did. Okay, well, there has actually been some pinball in the mainstream media. And by mainstream, I mean probably one level down from mainstream. But still, it's news about pinball that's not in a forum that we go to. And the first one is actually an article that I know the Herald Sun has promoted it, but it's the part of the Leader Community News, and that is that there is now a pinball party bus in Melbourne.
So this is massive news.
It is, but I think this is fun. I mean, this is, again, if we're talking about how are people promoting pinball, well, this is a way. I mean, you've got a big giant Volvo bus with pinball party bus painted on the side, and inside I think it's got two Simpsons machines. So it's got the original Data East and it's got Simpsons Pinball Party. There's an Addams Family, a Family Guy, and my favourite, Jurassic Park.
Stuff that kids like. They're 5 really good pins that can introduce people into pinball.
Yeah.
Is this bus driving around? Surely it wouldn't be, because the games would just tilt out of control. But I mean, do they just drive to your house and then people just, like, he parks outside your house and you have a party? Is that how it works?
If you go to, I think it's pinballpartybus.com, pinballpartybus.com, and you'll see all about it there. But yeah, I reckon it's a lot of fun.
Are we getting paid for the show, that money? Or?
No, we're not. This isn't a disguised ad. But again, look, even though it's only small, our community really is the people that we speak to and the forums that we go to, or the Facebook pages that we go to, and that's it. So I like seeing stuff that just pops up that is random. Like today, my partner was at Chadstone and texted me a picture of 4 pinball machines at Chadstone in this area in Chadstone. And so that's cool that they're in a shopping centre, there are pinball machines on display with thousands of people walking past. That's the stuff I love, because
it's important,
that reminds people that it just means that
it hasn't gone away.
It hasn't gone away.
It still exists.
That's right. And we're going to have less of those moments where someone says to you, "Oh, do they still do pinball?" Anyway.
You know what? Sorry, just on the ending point there. After my kid was playing pinball with me, she said, "Hey, Dad, did you know that there's a Jake and the Neverland Pirates pinball episode?" And I was like, "What?" So we sat down and we watched that. And then she's like, "Dad, did you also know there's a Magic School Bus episode on pinball machines?" And these are 2 kids shows. And Jake and the Neverland Pirates is like current and relevant today. Kids are watching it. The Magic School Bus is like from the 80s.
I remember that one.
But it's on Netflix in Australia, and we watched the episode as well. It's about light refraction, and they use a pinball machine to demonstrate it. And I was like, hey, this is the people that are making these shows must, they must be from the pinball era, because it's 2 kids shows of pinball.
So just let me just confirm, they're using it to explain light refraction to children. And we're wondering why this is a nerdy hobby. I just wanted to make that point. Anyway, moving on. The other piece of news, we talked about Paul Jones. He's actually now in the Illawarra Mercury. They've got a bit of an article on there titled "Pinball Champion Paul Jones Finds Paradise by the Back Box Light." So yeah, go illawarramercury.com.au, and it's probably going to be on the front page for tonight only. But again, I just like seeing that kind of stuff, so other people are still aware that pinball is a thing.
I didn't know that Jonesy was 47 years old. He looks pretty good for his age, doesn't he?
Pretty fit.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. What else is happening?
There's a lot of conversation this week about there's a video that's an Australian what is he, like an operator reseller. He sells pinball machines.
Sure.
He made a video. He calls himself the pinball expert on YouTube. Made a little video about should I buy a new pinball machine? And it was basically about the benefits and the pitfalls of the spike system. Now, this isn't anything really new, but no one's kind of like made a video and presented it in this way. And I'm not sure if you watched the video, Marty, but you feel pretty depressed after you watched it.
No, I saw the comments of everybody saying how depressed they were, so I've decided not to watch it.
Yeah, so I mean,
I know. I want to remain positive in the pinball community.
Pinball positive.
You know, call me crazy.
Oh, I mean, as I said, you feel depressed after you watch the video, and then you're fine 5 minutes after. But I mean, you know, little provisos. Basically, this guy isn't a Stern distributor, and he was the guy who was doing they call like grey market imports.
Right.
He was buying machines off someone in like the UK or something, but like, you know, Stern didn't know, and he was getting him like the serial number scratched off and getting sent to Australia and selling them cheaper, because that's the only way he could get a good price on a machine instead of, you know, AMD don't have a reseller kind of agreement with him.
Yeah.
So I think that loophole thing is now closed. So maybe he just isn't selling Spike pinball machines because he can't, and he can't make any money of them. But he brings up some valid points about the repairability of the Spike node boards.
Yeah.
And he pretty much outlines for like a couple of minutes, this is the depressing part, that like there's all these like cool innovations on the Spike system, but none of them benefit the consumer, besides, you know, being able to drive an LCD screen.
Sure.
You know, where the power is located and this and that. It's just, it's all to save Stern money, but they're not passing it on to the consumer. So if you want to read about that, go on Pinside Aussie Arcade. There's massive threads about it, but it's, we wanted to mention it, but not go into too much detail about it.
No, spare me. I will say it at one stage when, you know, I'm the happiest I've ever been, and I just need to bring it down a notch.
Yeah. It's your downer.
It really is.
So Stern are delivering Star Wars LE pinball machines, I think, in the US, and
Yes.
I think someone's already got theirs in Denmark or somewhere.
Right, okay.
So over the next week, you're going to start to see a lot of pictures and video and more impressions and people dissecting modes about Star Wars. And what we got to see a close-up picture on is the people were a bit unsure about the signature, since it's the Steve Ritchie signature is not on the playfield. People saw a faraway picture of the machine. They thought it might have just been on a yellow instruction card.
Yeah.
We got a close-up picture of that, and it was on like a nice gold plate. It looked like it was like a brush gold. And
it looks
I think
all
it looks
right.
nice.
Yeah.
It looks a bit more premium than kind of just a little scribble on the playfield, in my opinion.
But is it a real signature, though? No.
You'd hope so.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm going to buy a premium and just take a picture and scan it. And no.
It's the same thing.
I saw a post on Pinside, because I didn't have a WWE. I don't think you did, or probably anyone you know either.
Not many people do, yep.
No. But apparently that's signed by Hulk Hogan, and people said that if you touch it, it'll smear. If you touch the signature,
Right, okay.
it's not like there's no clear coat over it or anything. And I'm not sure if this one is any different. But just maybe if anyone's listening to this podcast, this might save one person from removing their glass and saying, "Ooh, I want to touch Steve Ritchie's signature," and then smearing it. So don't touch it, and maybe put it like some contact sheet or something, or some perspex over it to protect that signature, if it means something to you. Because I don't think you can send your plate back to Stern and say, "Can you please get Steve Ritchie to sign this again for me?"
This week, there's new KISS code. Can you believe, after all these months, finally there's new code? I think everybody had thought that they would have forgotten KISS by now.
No, they said they were going to update it, and it looks like a chunk of it is mostly bug fixes
And scoring adjustments and things like that, yeah.
Yeah, kind of Heaven's on Fire is a bit easier to get to, but yeah, I mean, do people still have their KISS, or have they moved it on? There's got to be some patient people out there.
Yeah, I don't know. There's only one person I know that's got KISS, and they put the update on the weekend, and I can't remember the exact words were, but I think they were along the lines of, "There's 30 minutes I'm never going to get back."
Of playing the game or updating the code?
Updating the code.
Okay.
Because I think it's one of those things where if you are doing bug fixes or you're doing scoring balancing, most people really aren't going to know the difference. If you're waiting, and I think it could be a bit of a kick in the guts, but people have just thought that they've neglected KISS, nothing's going to happen. All of a sudden, new code lands. The first thought you're going to be thinking is, what about the cities? Are they going to do something with the cities?
Oh God, they should have never put that.
I know it just means nothing. But and I don't know. I've not played KISS. Well, I've played it in tournaments, but in tournaments, I don't really pay too much attention to the game. But, are there still inserts that don't mean anything on it? Is it one of those ones?
I think there's still 4 inserts, like one for each band member. They're the big circular inserts.
That's
I believe.
right.
I own the machine. I've owned it for a year.
I do know that.
I'm pretty sure they don't do anything unless it's in like some super wizard mode that I haven't been to. But I don't know. I think people expected AC/DC and Metallica level of code from someone who wasn't Lyman Sheets and not going to get it. So
I think they were looking for their Walking Dead moment where somebody just put a little bit of extra code on it and all of a sudden it was gold.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I had a conversation with somebody about that KISS machine, and besides obviously the right ramp's a bit challenging and the left orbit through the pops is a bit challenging, but we've seen that in other machines. I think that there's a good layout there. If you completely rewrote those rules, I think you could actually make it a really good game.
The Star Child area is a bit of a... It's not a waste, but it just seems like you pop the ball in there and then you're just waiting for it to come out. You kind of add its mercy and randomness of, kind of like pop bumpers, but, with a very small area for it to leak out. So it's just kind of... Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy playing it, but yeah, it's not for me to own.
Yeah, again, I've enjoyed playing it. In fact, I actually enjoy playing it in tournaments because I do understand the rules and it has a fairly simple layout, and to get the multi-balls is very easy. Well, it's not necessarily easy to get, but how to get them, the rules to get them are very easy to understand. So when it comes up, like if I have to, get chosen on a machine and it's out of KISS or Ghostbusters, I am praying for KISS. Now
Everything over Ghostbusters.
Isn't that the real kick in the guts where you really want KISS because it's better than Ghostbusters? Oh no, I'm not saying it's a better game.
Tournament. Okay, yeah.
Well, I don't even know whether it's more fun in a tournament, but it's just more reliable. It's more predictable. It's easier to play than Ghostbusters with the outlanes where the ball pops over or the big flipper cap. So it doesn't feel as unfair as Ghostbusters. It's just not as rewarding as Ghostbusters, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But anyway, the big piece of news this week. Oh my God, big piece of news.
It's stuck in your head, isn't it?
Like, it's actually just a normal thing that people say, guys. So, the big new news this week. Ryan, we got to see something.
Yeah, we're... I don't know if it was first, but we've got to see the playfield art. The home pin is
playfield.
Playfield, yes, of Thunderbirds. So Thunderbirds are go. Sorry, I got to say the whole thing.
Isn't it Thunderbirds are a go?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I got told off for that. So he's been releasing a lot of information about Thunderbirds, including that he's got a shaker in there. There's a knocker, which Stern don't do anymore.
Throw that in.
There's a lot of stuff that is getting included in that pinball machine, and he's showing the plastics. Some of the plastics, he's showing the art for it, the backglass art, and he hasn't showed the playfield art yet because it hasn't been approved. But here at Head2Head Pinball Podcast, we got an exclusive sneak peek at what the art looks like, and I mean, with the art also, you get the shot geometry and what's included in the game and how many ramps there are and stuff. The only
if there are ramps, we don't know.
If there are, so we don't know. We don't
know anything.
Yeah. This is the thing, because it's not approved. he let us see it, but we are not allowed to describe it in any detail.
Okay, okay. So
this is going to make it pretty hard.
Though I know that's the case, but you describe it to me, and if you say anything that I feel is going to infringe on the trust that Mike has given us,
Okay.
I'll edit it out. There'll just be silence. So,
Okay.
tell me what you think.
All right. So what I think is,
Wow. Okay.
is it pretty good? Does that sound good?
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't expecting that much, but that's wow. Totally impressed. I think that's going to be amazing. We are funny, aren't we? So, but what can we say about the art, though? I mean, I guess we can say it's hand drawn. Are we allowed to say that?
Yes. It's
What
colourful.
I can say, it's colourful. I can say
I
that.
can see all the colours.
Yep, all the colours are there.
Purple.
It is. Is it a
Pink.
purple?
Yes.
I can't see it. See, we don't record this podcast in the same room. He is at his house. I'm at my house. We're recording over Skype. He has the images. I don't. I had to see him in person for him to show me the images on his phone. I've seen them for about 2 minutes. That was all I was able to see, and now I've just got to try and remember.
You've probably forgotten everything, right?
I have forgotten. I've forgotten it. But hand-drawn art, very colourful, very Thunderbirds is what I'll say.
It's said it's subject to change, so we don't want to, the things we can say, I don't want to say too much, but it's very 2D and not very 3D. It's so hard to explain without giving too much away.
So 2D, not 3D. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm now following.
Okay. Hey, one thing that I do like, hopefully I'm allowed to say it.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure we are. There's a lock 1 and lock 2 insert on the pinball machine, and I love that. I love games that let you know exactly how many balls are locked as soon as you look down.
Yeah,
And
Hobbit does that. I love that on Hobbit.
yeah, because when you're playing like a 4-player game and you're on your third ball, you forget how many balls you have locked until you lock a ball and it tells you. So I love that. But
I don't even remember that it had that because I can remember what I saw. It was 4 days ago. But look,
I did email Mike, and I did ask him about 15 questions about the shot geometry and like what does this shot mean and what does that shot mean, and he just said that's why I don't show people the pinball.
so you
That's
have
what-
just
that's what I'm
now.
interested in. Like I'm not a big art guy. I mean, I don't care. The art in Star Wars didn't annoy me.
But you should have known. Mike has not given anything out, and he gives it to you, and then 15 questions come back. Surely you knew.
Well, I can see the shots. I just want confirmation because
Yeah, no, I know.
that much of an overlay and stuff of what's going on.
So look, for me, in summary, the art that I saw was exactly what I'd hoped it would be. So we won't know really until we see the full game and, approved art. I don't know whether it is going to change a lot or much, but I like what I see.
Cool. Yeah, and he also lit some information on Facebook about the retail price. So
Yes.
the pre-order price for people in Australia was $5,321. No, $5,432.10. 54321. Yes. Sorry. No, I don't believe that includes GST, or maybe it does, and freight. But the end retail price in Australia, including GST and I believe shipping, is $6,499. What do you think about that price, Marty?
Well, I think that's a great price, obviously. But what's the entry-level Stern these days?
8.5 now?
8.5. And, oh, geez, we can talk about prices in Australia. But, that's $2,000 less.
And you get more. Well, yeah, that's up to debate.
We don't know. We
Yes.
have not seen whether you get more or less. Who knows?
Well, I'm talking about like a shaker, like the Ali
Well, true.
Stern doesn't have a shaker.
But how much does a shaker cost to make? Like $5, $10? Come on.
$20, yeah.
And from China, $3.
10 cents? These guys work for nothing.
Do you know what? I don't know. It's not until I actually see the machine, I see the quality of the build. I see and touch that it's of quality. I won't know. I think that 6,500 obviously is cheap compared to anything else, and for a brand new inbox machine, that's awesome. You know, and in fact, most second-hand good machines these days cost more than that. So I think that's a great price. But I will just need to see it in person. So I say that is a quality comparable machine to what my expectations are.
Yeah, and I guess we'll be seeing that in a couple of months. But he also mentions for all of our friends in the US, the targeted US price is $5,200 to $5,400 from his distributor that he'll be naming pretty soon, I'm guessing. So that is around the same street price as a Pro, as a Stern Pro, sorry. So
right.
The official retail price of a Stern Pro, I think, is around $6,000 US, but there's a little bit of funny business that goes on, and they're not allowed to quote online what price they can you know they can all do for you. But they all just
undercut it. And is that because there's so many more distributors over there, so there's more competition? We've only got one here, so there is no need to undercut.
We get what we get, and we don't get upset.
we just, you know what? It's funny, when you take away choice, you just accept it.
This sounds like Nazi Germany or something.
That's potentially a bit of extreme, but isn't it more George Orwell's 1984? Anyway.
Yeah, sorry, that's exactly what I would edit that out. Edit out the Nazi.
I'm not editing that out.
Okay.
Because every time you fuck up like that, people take the piss out of you on the forum, and I enjoy that, so I'm going to keep that.
Oh my God! One of the guys I met at the Golden Fleece, he's compiling a list. He's got a list started from episode 1 of all of my fuck ups, and it's growing. So
there's a lot of them. So
oh God.
Yeah,
I'm serious. Edit that out.
I'm not, and we will never forget Dalex.
Oh no!
Never let.
Everyone was mentioning that as well. This is the weirdest thing about doing a podcast. I feel like I'm just talking to you, Marty.
I know,
but I'm not.
No,
we
I know.
To hundreds and hundreds of people.
People are privy to our strange conversations.
Yeah, and then I meet people, and they know everything that I tell them, which is a lot.
I know.
And then I don't know anything about them.
I know.
Weird.
I have people, in fact, so Wednesday night in particular, when I had my stream, I had the lovely James and Jackie over with me, and we got out the Fireball whiskey. So I'd had quite a few already, and then had this triple shot of Fireball whiskey, and I was just absolutely gone. But the next day, I went to the Golden Fleece, and people went, "Oh, do you remember when you did this?" And I'm like, "No." What about when you said that? I'm like, "No, I can't remember."
Guess what,
that.
Marty? I've got that thing that they were talking about, where you cracked the shits and you were drunk. I found that clip and I saved it off Twitch, and I've got it in a folder called I've got it. Even if you deleted it off Twitch, I've got it now.
What bit where I cracked the shits?
No, don't crack the shits. Were you talking about Addams Family and Twilight Zone?
Oh, Twilight Zone, and I got a T-shirt made up on what I said.
Yes, I've got that. So even if you delete it, I've saved that to my computer. I'm just warning you, just in case there's like a bit of blackmail going on. I've got dirt on you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, guys, Melbourne Silverball League on Twitch. It's worthwhile watching me, because I get drunk and I say things that I shouldn't. So that's the only reason why I do it. And now people are apparently saving clips of me.
Moving along to the next bit of news.
Oh, is that what we're saying?
Yes, the next bit.
Bit of news.
We got news from Wayne at Mr. Pinball that Mr. Jersey Jack himself is coming to Australia again.
Fantastic.
In October, right after Expo. And I think he's going to be running a little workshop or a meet and greet. I think it's more of a holiday, but he's going to spend one day with the fans again, which is good. We like our pinball celebrities down here.
And yes, he is going to hand deliver some machines to people, which is great.
Oh, is he dialed in? Is he?
Yes, this is what I've heard. Because they're still not in the country.
You should have added it to the show notes.
Oh, no. But that time in October, do we think he will have announced the next one by then?
That's a big, that's a big if, isn't it? I mean, dialed-ins are still being made, and they definitely haven't caught up to the backlog. So, is it too early to announce JJP number 4, or will he bring one down with him? Wouldn't that be exciting?
So Jersey Jack, this is me to you. I've met you a number of times. I came over to your factory at the beginning of the year. Bring one over. Allow Melbourne Silver Ball to stream. I'm going to ask everybody. I want to be exclusive, the first people to stream that. But you know what? Let's put it out there. We're going to go into full speculation mode any second now. What do we reckon the next title is?
For Jersey Jack?
Yeah.
Are we doing this?
Well, we are going to, aren't we?
Okay.
Well,
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean
is the one that's been floated around for a long time.
Yeah, it is. And, when I first heard that rumour, I thought, I wonder why. And I wasn't thinking about whether the movies were any good, because I've never seen a Pirates of the Caribbean film. There you go. So, no, I know. So that doesn't really bother me whether it's a good movie or not. My thoughts were, but didn't Stern already do one? Why would they do one?
It is a bit of a weird choice, because that pinball machine isn't great, but it isn't horrible, and it has a really beloved toy, which is going to be hard to top. Yeah, which is the ship that you hit. So it's a weird choice. I mean, if there's an awesome theme and there's a shitty pinball and you remake it, that makes sense. But if there's an okay theme that isn't really relevant today and a decent pin, I don't know. As I said, this is all speculation. It might not even be happening. It could be a whole ruse, but everyone is kind of not confirming it, but everyone's talking about it like it's a done deal. Yeah, and
that's what I'm saying. I think it's okay for us to speculate, because we're the Johnny Come Lately podcast. Everybody else has been talking about it, and they've obviously been saying it's either going to be Pirates of the Caribbean or Toy Story. Now, Toy Story, I get.
The cool thing is that it's kind of confirmed that the person who is designing it is Eric, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name. You can Google it and try and pronounce it.
Sure.
And he has been involved in pinball since he was like a kid. And he's like a family business, and he's worked at Jersey Jack for a while as an engineer. And he's like their version of Keith Alwyn,
right? Okay.
Except probably not like the world's best player, but as in like he's new blood, and he's going to be a new person designing a pinball machine under the guidance of Pat Lawler. So that's exciting, right?
I think that. I didn't know that last bit. I think that's really exciting. That if Pat can mentor somebody new, then that legacy lives on, and not only does it live on, it means 2 machines can be worked on at the same time that have that Pat Lawler magic.
Yeah, I don't think he's co-designing it, but he mentioned I'm pretty sure it was like a spooky podcast they did a while ago, and I might try and link it in the show notes, where they interviewed him, and basically he was kind of describing that he has all these ideas built up in his head, and then you finally get to make it, but then Pat Lawler will say, well, we tried this in like 1995 and it didn't work because of this. Let me show you. Right. And then he just like saves him so much time.
Yeah,
in, like,
it's just a masterclass.
Yeah, it's a masterclass. So it's not going to be a Pat Lawler machine. It's going to be all his flavor, but he's just saved a lot of time and heartache by not putting in things that don't work. So,
well, not that I want to flog a dead horse, but let me do it anyway. It was the criticism that I was talking about when we mentioned Highway Pinball with Full Throttle and Alien, in that you've got a new designer and the layouts are just a little bit awkward, and I think that you need some new fresh ideas with an essence of the old guard that can tell you why things are done a certain way.
Yeah, can you imagine if like someone was new at Stern and had all these awesome ideas, but then Steve Ritchie kind of helps him out with flow, kind of like the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
I don't know. That kind of leads on to our next bit of news is Chris Franchi. Mm-hmm. Is it Franchi? Is that how you say it?
Yep, it is.
He's the guy who did the artwork for Batman 66. He came in at the last minute and kind of saved the project, apparently, because the artwork was really bad. And I'm not sure about you, Marty, but I really like Batman art. I actually think I think it's a better looking pinball machine than Ghostbusters. I know a lot of people will disagree, but it is. If you step up to one in like a dark room and it's on, and you just look at it, it's pretty. I want it. It just looks good.
It's very confronting when you see it for the first time, though, because it is really colourful.
I love that shit. Give me all the rainbows.
No, I agree with you, but I just remember the very first time I saw a Batman 66 was the Super LE, and I just remember walking up to it going, "Fuck, that's bright. Did you just literally throw every colour from the palette onto that machine?" but let's just not forget that that's Batman 66. It was very colourful. It was camp. It was over the top. That's what it was meant to be. And I think people have said, it is probably a bit over the top. But I think also if it was anything less, people would have said, you haven't been faithful to the original series. So, and
pinball has to be over the top, right?
It does. But also Chris Franchi he's a massive Batman fan. So if anyone's going to do that art justice, it's him. He gets it.
So do you want to read what he posted on Facebook this week?
I do. Do I?
Do you have it?
So this is where he's saying he's going to be a special guest at the Chicago Pinball Expo in October.
That's right.
I will be doing a 1-hour seminar with Stern art director Greg Ferrez. Now, you only wanted me to read this out because you knew I couldn't pronounce his name right. Greg.
No, I've just been talking way too much, so get some words in, mate.
I'll try, do my best. On the making of the Batman 66 pinball, as well as my newest pinball, which should be revealed at this show. Fingers crossed. I will also have special signed prizes for everyone attending. The expo runs from Wednesday, October 11 through to Sunday, October 15th. My seminar is on Friday at 4 p.m. Stay tuned for more details. So, Ryan, I was reading words, but all I could hear was, as well as my newest pinball, which should be revealed at the show.
That's the only bit that matters. I don't know why you read the rest of it.
I just needed to get more airtime. So what the hell is it going to be?
That's the really interesting thing, and it's funny that he kind of mentioned it. It hasn't been deleted or anything. He did a podcast a while ago after he did the Batman art. It wasn't a pinball podcast. It was I think he does like some radio gigs with his mates, and he mentioned that he's been hired, I'm pretty sure by Stern, it wasn't confirmed, but he said hired by a pinball company to do the art for 3 more pinball machines. And one of them was a big Hollywood blockbuster type pinball machine, which kind of matches up to what people have been rumoring and saying to be next. And what is that, Marty?
I reckon Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, that's right.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's what it's rumored to be, and
why
I'm
not?
Sure
that makes it just makes perfect sense that the both movies have been massive hits. It's already the characters are there. The modes will just write themselves. I reckon that would make sense. I don't know his art style enough to know whether it would lend itself to this universe, though.
When I heard about Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought it was going to be Dirty Donnie, because when he came here, he actually had Guardians of the Galaxy art, but it wasn't licensed. So he would say words like Guardians, and it would literally be like all the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. But right. I guess that's an artist's way of not getting sued. But it was almost like he was practicing for his actual gig with Stern. But maybe his artwork, it went through with Zombie Eddie's went through with Ghostbusters. It's probably the first time you've seen like amazing hand-drawn, line art done on like a big movie property. And then the other two are Aerosmith and Metallica, which they're rock bands, so you think they would be cool with it. So maybe Marvel isn't cool with Dirty Donnie,
Well, it's also depending on what's coming after that as well. So,
Yeah.
look, again, we've opened up the rumour gates. Come on. Stern have got to release Iron Maiden. And this is what I was saying before about the fact that I'm not really all that keen on buying new Stern machines. And I've said that before, mainly because I feel I can play them anywhere. There's so many of them that are made that I get to play them. Right now, I would put money down on an Iron Maiden LE. And I would do it.
Okay.
I would do it sight unseen. That's...
But would you go through with it, Marty?
Well, I don't know. It depends on whether people will come into my forum and tell me that I'm an idiot for doing that. But controversial. But you know what? It's just weird. I'm not a metalhead, right? But I was so into Iron Maiden, like I think 81, 82, and I just think that has stuck with me. That iconic art of Eddie, their songs. I just think for me it is the ultimate rock pinball machine, and
they have their own artist, right? Like, is it the same artist that's been doing all the covers and?
Yeah, and that's what I don't know, whether they might give him a go at doing the art. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about new artists getting into pinball and nailing it, like obviously Zombie Yeti. But it's one thing to be able to do a backglass art versus playfield art, where you've got to integrate your art into the shots and the inserts.
Yeah, Donnie mentioned that. He said he wished he knew the stuff when he was making Aerosmith. He thought he did a lot better. I mean, this could just be sales talk, but He knew how to make everything work with Aerosmith. Whereas with Metallica, he'd done art on I think like a Metallica pinball he made for the actual Metallica band, but he learned a lot from that process. Obviously, seeing like the thousands of Metallica pinball machines that were made and seeing it everywhere, he kind of got like not critical of his work, but he thinks he did a better job on Aerosmith because of the experience he had on Metallica.
Yeah.
So there are rumors that Zombie Yeti is teaming up with John Trudeau to work on Iron Maiden, and that would be the title after Guardians. But maybe we should stop there because there's two other titles that we've heard rumors of after that. But maybe we'll leave that to a later date because we're going to blow our exclusive podcast material.
Well, but we do know that at some stage, certainly going to be making Elvira. I mean, that was announced,
Yes.
so that's official.
Yes.
What do you think about another Elvira?
I don't know. I've got two young girls, so when I didn't care about any of that kind of, not feminism stuff, but this is, I know pinball people don't care about this, that much, but I want positive female role models in my girls, in their life. I want strong female characters that are admired for their, they can be admired for their beauty, but also about their intelligence and their strength and how confident they are. And to me, Elvira is just a chick with big boobs. She might be. I know it's horrible to say. Cassandra Peters might be like the nicest person ever.
Apparently, she's really lovely.
Yes, exactly. So I feel horrible saying that, but the way she's portrayed on Elvira pinball machines is it's just sex jokes, and people love it. People lap it up, and I'm sure they will sell a bucket load of those pins. Like, people that think that like sex is irrelevant and people have moved on, they haven't. But I don't need a $12,000 pinball machine to get me horny. I'm still married.
No, I understand that. So I was a huge fan of Elvira when she was around and on late night TV. And the thing about her is, yes, she's beautiful, and yes, she has got very large breasts. But her character wasn't like being and you probably get this anyway, but her character is very ironic. She's sort of taking the piss out of people that get into those things.
They get into
women with boobs. Like, she's actually,
okay.
It's a take the piss. So it's just whether people will see that side of the humour now, because they certainly didn't with Whoa Nelly Big Juicy Melons, and this is still going into that kind of that
but
genre
that was an EM that wasn't a real, no,
but
that wasn't a real crack at.
No, I know, but that was a throwback to those old EMs that had big boobs.
Okay.
But Elvira's character is really taking the piss of that whole genre. It's not a real character.
Okay.
Did you not know that?
Not really. I don't really care.
Watch her because
it's another pinball machine that lasted 2 weeks in my house.
So, I mean, no surprise, I'm not really interested in how she looks. Okay. I think she is freaking hilarious. I think she is just one of the funniest people, and I used to love watching her to laugh.
As long as there's more call-outs in the new machine than there was in the old, because I had a little chuckle when she's saying she's having multiple jackpots and things like that.
Yes, but then
they just repeat themselves. Like you're in your second game, you've heard everything.
Yep.
But I mean it was, people love that machine, and that machine keeps on going up in value. So apparently that might be slated for reveal at Texas in 2018. So
okay.
Will there be 2 pinball machines by Stern release before then? And that just blows my mind that if it's true, I mean, maybe Iron Maiden might be further past Elvira, but will they be releasing Guardians at Expo? They always release one at CES, which is like the first week of January or second week of January, and then one in late March. That's crazy to think that they would do that. I think it might be too close.
Well, when are we due in the next announcement?
So Expo is what's on that little news piece. It's the 11th of October, so that's 2 months away.
Yeah, okay. I guess
But they just started shipping Stern now.
That's right. They haven't even started shipping LEs or anything, and we still don't have our shipments of any Star Wars.
Yeah, well, they're arriving here in 3 weeks, I believe. So I don't think that adds up. They can't have it that close together unless Star Wars just took longer to ship because it wasn't, it was delayed for some reason, some technical difficulty, or the toy, the Death Star wasn't ready. We knew that with the pros and the LEs. So I don't know. It seems like there's too many pins in that small gap. Yeah.
Oh, well. So again, it comes back to, I guess it's probably why people are holding off on their Star Wars money and waiting for what's around the corner, and again, it probably talks to why these companies don't want these rumours to go out and why podcasts like us shouldn't be spreading it, but too late, we've already talked about it. It's because people do hold on to their money.
We've known about this stuff before we started podcasting, and people didn't tell us because we were podcasters, so we've let that information kind of out there because we knew it before we podcasted. But if we get any more new information, I think we have to be a little bit more careful and not just blurt it out, because
we're only telling stuff that's already out
right?
there. Yeah, we're telling stuff that's already out there. Like none of the stuff I've talked about, I didn't know before.
Okay.
So
we'll leave the last one out. The pin number 4, we'll leave that one out.
Yeah, and the 5 and 6. I don't want to mention those just yet.
Or 7 and 8. No. That's enough news, Marty. That's enough news.
Yes.
I would like to talk about Papa.
Would you? So we were going to talk about this story last couple of times, but our episodes have gotten quite long, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
But,
my fault.
Yeah. But also because I also mentioned that I met Ron from the Slam Tour podcast at Papa, but he didn't know who I was and I didn't know who he was. But anyway, that's what happened. But I guess it was just to give a bit of a recount of my trip, because it was the brainchild of myself and Jordan when we were at, that's Jordan Treadaway, when we were at the dinner with Jersey Jack. And I kind of just looked at him and said, why don't we ever go to Papa? Why can't we do Pinburg or something? And of course it worked out that we couldn't go to most of the tournaments because he's still at school, and he could only really go in school holidays. And it just turned out that the Papa tournament was smack bang in the middle of school holidays. So in January we decided that we were going to go to Papa, and we also said that we would tell no one. We kept it a complete secret, and people only found out that we were going to Papa when we took a selfie at the airport going into the International Gate Lounge, and it caused a bit of a stir. I think it's one of those things where people just like to talk about it and like to know the lead up, but that was 4 months. But we did go to New York beforehand, and pinball highlights of New York, well, there was really only two of them. The first one we went to was Modern Pinball, and we went into a tournament there, and there was lots of people that we knew, and I got to say hi to my mate Steve Bowden again, and I was very delighted that he remembered me from Indisc the year before. Sure, it's an ego thing.
He better remember me when I see him at TPF. I know he's everywhere. That guy. Yeah, he better remember me from Expo.
But it's one of the things that I'm probably going to talk about when I go into the Papa event itself. But there's really two sides to these comps. I mean, the one at Modern Pinball was very friendly, and I didn't do that well. Jordan did better than me, but I got a fair distance in it. But there are people that are really serious, and then there's people that are very friendly and they're there for the social. So that was quite confronting when I went to Indisc the year before, because we're so used to having our social tournaments here, to go to a comp where it's serious and there's a lot of money on the line. That was a bit different for me. So Modern Pinball was fun, but the highlight in New York was going to Sunshine Laundromat. So I knew of this place, and it's a bit similar to Pinball Paradise in that it's got a secret entrance. You actually walk through a laundromat, and right at the back where the washing machines are, you actually push two washing machines and it opens into a pinball bar out the back. And I can't remember how many machines there are, but there would have been, I don't know, maybe 30 machines. And if you name all the Ballywheel greats, just name them. Name a couple, and I'll tell you whether they're there.
Medieval Madness.
Yep.
Monster Bash.
Yep.
Attack from Mars.
Yep.
They're all there.
Probably.
They're all there, aren't they?
Yeah. But the big surprise was that the Big Lebowski was there. So I got to play the Big Lebowski.
What do you think, Matty?
I think it's a lot of fun. It feels really solid. It's got I believe a similar rule set to, let's say, Monster Bash, where each shot is repeatable, which then leads to a multi-ball, or you know what, more like Medieval Madness. If you think about those repeatable shots that then, you know, bring in a certain madness, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But looks great, sound is great. Probably the only thing that I didn't really think was great was the animation on the LCD is really grainy. And I don't know, I spoke to somebody about that and they said, yeah, it's meant to be, that's going with the look. And I'm thinking, it looked like a cheap LCD to me.
The animation is done by the same guy, John Paul DeWin, who does Wizard of Oz and Hobbit. So the animations are probably high def. It's maybe just, the LCD screen they're using.
Well, maybe they'll get a new high-res one with a new contract manufacturer.
Yeah, that works out. Talking about Sunshine Laundromat, I saw a quick YouTube video this week. I don't know how I stumbled across it. And I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not sure how long ago it was, but there was no secret entrance. You walked in, and there was still laundry things there, washing machines, but the machines were just there. So I wonder what made him do the whole secret thing and
but when you
masterstroke.
Yeah. Well, when you walk in, there's 3 pinball machines on the right hand side. Can't remember them, and then there's 2 on the left back to back. But then you just walk straight to the back and open up, and like you can see, like it's like a porthole.
The hole.
Yeah. So you can see through. And we just sat there for hours playing. And the best thing about it was that these machines were just in immaculate condition. They played perfectly. So for me, that was the best place in New York. But on to Papa. So we then went to Papa, which was lots of fun. Jordan and I had decided that we were going to qualify for B division. A division is an open division; anyone can try for it. But we just thought, let's go over there and try to get into some finals. I don't know, just for our first go. And we did quite well. I know we had an argument recently about this. I qualified second.
Yes, I looked at that.
You
were definitely right. You were right.
And Jordan qualified first. But what was really interesting about this format was that it had this really good queuing system. The bank of B Division, if I can remember, I think there was Target Pool, Heavy Metal Meltdown, which was... Have you ever played Heavy Metal Meltdown? No, you wouldn't, because it's an old machine.
No,
You'd
but
love it.
I got a friend who just bought one, so
You'd
I
love
might get
it.
to play it soon.
It's such a good machine. Surf and Safari, Super Orbit, I think Walking Dead, Sopranos, Countdown, Elvis, and I think... Did I say Jurassic Park? Yeah. Well, Jurassic Park was great. So I've got a Jurassic Park, and I got the top qualifier on that game by a mile. Over, I think it was... Oh, jeez, I can't remember. It was probably $1 billion or something.
You went to use your smart missile, right?
I did use my smart missile. So it's what you do is, you get to multi-ball, hit one of the jackpots, open up chaos, hit your smart missile, it then activates your 6-ball multi-ball, and then go crazy, get all the chaos down again, and then get, ramps and loops. And I just looked up and saw my score and just went, hang on, that was bloody good. And that was in the first day. But it was just a really interesting thing, because you can use your smartphone to queue yourself up. You can buy entries into the machines in I don't know, 5, 10s or 20s. And it was just really good. You can then just queue yourself onto a machine, and then there's a big TV screen showing you which machine you're queued up on and who's in front of you and how long the queues are. And just a really easy system to be able to understand. There's also a laptop there, because sometimes the Wi-Fi played up a bit, so there was always a laptop there as well, so you could go up there and enter your name in there and assign yourself to a machine. But it was really interesting. We played a lot of pinball on the first day, and the second day was all about defend. So we didn't play as much, but we were watching other players, and if they got a good score on one of the machines, we would then go onto that machine and try and top up our scores.
Okay.
Bit of a controversy. At the very cutover of the qualifying, I was on Heavy Metal Meltdown, and I had this multi-ball, because I'm thinking you can get like a 5 or a 6-ball multi-ball. And I was on this multi-ball, and it was going crazy, and I was getting jackpot upon jackpot upon jackpot. And I was in this multi-ball for ages, and everybody else that had done that multi-ball for the same period of time had clocked it. So when I looked up, I think the score might have been like 4 million, and I went, hang on, did I? I'm pretty sure I did. Did anyone see that?
I mean, clocked as in like roll
as in rolled it.
Yeah.
But because nobody had seen me do it,
Oh, no.
I couldn't validate it. And it wasn't a big deal. The only difference was if I had got that score put in, I would have qualified first. No biggie. I still, on the finals the next day...
In your heart, you know you're better than Jordan.
Well, a lot of people know. Except for 9 times out of 10 when he beats me. He is...
That's what I was talking about when I said you qualified first. I totally knew you were going to tell that story, and you really did qualify first, right? See, I was right all along. Jesus, man.
But again, look, the other good thing about that was, whilst you're sitting there watching other people play, people come along and have a chat, and that's obviously when I got to speak to Ron. But just really good, friendly people. But not only that, you also then get to walk around the facility, and it's in Carnegie, Pennsylvania, and this is the last year they're having the Papa tournament at this particular facility, and it's got 300 machines, and there would have been the guys will probably have the details, but there would have been 15 to 20 techs on that 3 or 4 days, because these machines were just constantly working and in fantastic condition. So it was just great to be able to walk into a place and see all these machines that you played as a youth, and they still work like they did back then. And that was probably the only criticism I had of Arcade Expo the year before, where I think there was 400 machines, but throughout the days, more and more machines got turned off. They just didn't have enough people to keep them running. But I believe that they have fixed that up since.
Okay.
So, you've got this venue to just walk around and play and practice, but it was pretty tiring. I mean, we were there from 9:30 in the morning till, 11 o'clock at night. And it was just solid gameplay.
How do you play pinball for that long? That's crazy.
You just do. I don't know. I've always said, Ryan, now you remember this. I've
Yes.
always said that I've got stamina.
What the fuck?
So, I will say this. I am not the best player. I'm not the worst player, but I can go the distance. So,
Okay.
and that's actually, all jokes aside, so if it is a longer tournament, usually I can stay good where other people are sort of getting a bit tired. Yep.
So just a little note. There's been a whole bunch of competitions I know in the US, like 24 hours at the Sanctum.
Yes.
Have you? Yeah. So has anyone in Australia done that, where you just play pinball until you just the last person standing?
Well, that's the one that Jimmy was talking about last week when they had Death by Pinball, which goes for 18 hours, and he's now gonna do the next Death by Pinball is gonna be 24 hours.
Let's do it in Melbourne. Organise it, Marty. You're a club organiser.
Just do it at my house. I mean, we can play Hobbit for 24 hours. It
Oh god.
probably won't last that long.
Your flaps would definitely be wrecked up for hours of abuse. Marty's flaps after 24 hours of the
Stop it.
Sanctum. 24 hours of the Marty. Anyway.
That's terrible. Anyway, so then, as I said, it didn't matter that I qualified second or first because when it came to the finals, because I'd qualified, I think it was I don't know, maybe it was top 8. I got into the second round of the final. So I had a bye, got into the second round. And because in my group of 4, I'd qualified the highest, I got to pick the machines.
Did you pick the wrong machine, Marty?
Oh, man. This is where my story just goes downhill. And I'm notorious for this. I would actually much rather other people pick the machine, and then I feel that there's chance. If I pick a machine, I feel that there's some fate involved, and usually it means that I bomb out. So, what had actually happened was someone had messaged me and said, they looked at all the games that I qualified high in the qualifying rounds, and most of the machines that I'd qualified on were solid state and, early DMD or alphanumeric games. And I went, you know what? You're right. I actually did really good on those old machines. So I decided to pick an old machine, being Meteor. I had a choice. I had a choice of Cheetah, Meteor, Attack from Mars, Metallica, Big Game, Little Chief, Ghostbusters, Future Spa, and Transformers.
Anything but Ghostbusters.
Well,
the number one rule again.
Right. So there was going to be no way that I was going to do Ghostbusters. Absolutely no way. So I picked Meteor because I knew the rules, I knew how to play, but I didn't know how to play because the first ball was a house ball, and I just remember when the ball went down, I just heard on my back of my left shoulder someone just go, and I went, oh shit, everyone saw that. So then my next ball, I got one flip, and then it was out. And the last ball, I had... So, long story short with Meteor, you've got to get the targets down so the spinner is lit, and once the spinner is lit at its maximum, you just rip it through the spinner and your score goes up. So, third ball, I had hit a couple of targets, got the spinner to its max, and then it went straight down the middle. And...
This is Will and MJ.
I just had everybody just come up to me going, oh man, bad luck, that was a crap game. So my next game I thought, you know what, I'm not going to leave it to chance on such a risky old game. I'm going to go to ever faithful Attack from Mars.
So you have to choose all the games?
Yes, because
Okay.
I was the highest qualifier, I got to pick all the games.
Okay.
So I picked Attack from Mars because... You know what? I'm good at Attack from Mars. You're good at Attack from Mars, aren't you? You've got one at home.
Everyone's good at it, right? Everyone thinks they're good at it.
Everyone's really good at Attack
billions
from
of
Mars. What
points.
could possibly go wrong? Well, this is the Attack from Mars that has been in Papa finals before, and
They've puppified it, right?
they have freaking puppified it. And it's for the best players. And look, I was in B division, and that's where I should have been. Certainly after this. I've seen some people play this particular Attack from Mars, and they've absolutely nailed that lock shot, and that's really what you got to do. Get the targets down, start multi-ball, so then you can just wail at the UFO. I couldn't get the ball into the lock shot to save myself, and so onto my third ball, I hardly had anything, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for the bloody UFO. Yeah, got it down once, and that was it. It was game over. And so I think I can't remember, I think I came last in the first game and maybe third in the second game.
Okay.
So then I got to pick the last game, and I just thought, do you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm just going to play a game that I haven't played for a long time. It's just depressing thinking about what happened.
You chose to talk about this, Marty.
I picked Cheetah, and I had another 2 house balls, and then the very last ball. So basically what you do, if you get the 3 in lanes up the top, it then lights, there's 1 of 2 spinners up the top, you get the right spinner. If you wail on that, absolutely, you get big points, all the points. So, and I remember getting the 3 drop, that spinner was lit, and I could hear someone behind me go, oh, he's got it lit. And then it just went straight down the middle. And that was the end of Papa for me. But
so do you bring it down to luck or maybe nervousness or?
Yeah, look, it's been a while since I've gotten nervous at a comp, but I was quite anxious. It meant something. So, well, it didn't, but it did. But I also just, after that first game, I'd really psyched myself out of it. And you know what, it comes back to what you were saying about what I guess you do or you don't like about playing pinball in tournaments is all of a sudden it matters. It doesn't just, you can't just get up there and have a game and go, okay, that was fun, I'm going to have another game. It's do or die. You either have a good game or you don't. And if you don't have a good game, you're out.
Mm.
So that's what happened. But the saving grace was this. Jordan Treadaway won. And he didn't, it wasn't an easy thing for him. Just about every round that he played, it all came down to the last game. He had to win the last game in just about every one of his rounds. And I remember at the finals, the final round, I walked up to him and he just looked at me and said, "No, I don't think I'm going to make it. It's gonna be a bit of a miracle." And I think it might have been on Metallica. And he ended up getting 130 million. And someone came up later and said, "Mate, that would have been like the second or third top qualifying score in A division."
Wow.
But that's what he did. He's very cool, he's very calm. I mean, he admitted to me later that he was nervous, but he just has good raw nerve and absolutely just kept it when he needed to. And I just put all my energy into him. He started second guessing himself, but we sort of worked through that, and then he just picked himself up and won a lot of money and won a giant trophy that we then got stuck in customs for. But again, sort of just talking about Papa and the facility, and I can't remember how many people were there. There were hundreds of people there, and it was just a really good. It was this may be a bit far, but it was like the Woodstock of pinball. It was just everybody was there. The last hurrah
running around naked.
At this, they were smoking and all that kind of stuff. But just you could really see just a lot of really good old pinball pals there, just having a good time, coming all from around the country and obviously around the world. There was the serious side of it, there was the fun side of it. But if you weren't playing in the comp, you were there just, outside having a chat or just walking around talking to people. I got to meet a lot of people that I'd spoken to, or more importantly, people that I'd seen on YouTube or on Twitch that I got to see in person. So I got to meet Bowen for the first time, Bowen Kerins, and he was awesome. He wanted to. I had a chat with him, and he said, "Oh yeah, I hear you're also with with this young guy. And I said, yeah, Jordan. So I sent Jordan a text and I said, hey, Jordan, Bowen wants to meet you. Come over to the qualifying. And Jordan comes over and goes, oh, bullshit. I'm like, no, seriously, Bowen knows who you are. And so we had a good chat with Bowen. And again, one of the highlights was that in the finals, when Bowen was in the finals, and I think he was playing World Poker Tour, in between one of his balls, he actually just came down and sat down and spoke to Jordan, myself, just had a bit of a chat and then went back. But I got to say hi to Robert Gagno. That was fun. Steve Bowden, again, he remembered who I am, so Stephen is currently my favourite. But yeah, it was just a good place. The other things to note, some highlights that I remember, the best machine that I played, and I encourage you to have a look at this machine. It's called Dragon by Interflip.
I'm Googling now.
Google it. And if you're listening, anybody that's bothered to get past my diatribe just now, have a look at Dragon by Interflip, or look at YouTube or whatever you can. It is a crazy game with these dragons that flip up and
so what's Interflip? Is Interflip the company who made it?
Yep.
Okay.
And it was just this really fun game. Really crazy sounds, really crazy layout. Can you see what I mean about the pop-up things?
The first picture I saw was like it had like the address on the pinball machine next to the flippers.
Sure.
What the hell?
Why not?
It's made in Madrid in Spain. That's great to know, right?
There you go. Flippers. That's what you need to know.
I want Thunderbirds to have the Chinese address like right into the
in Shenzhen.
Okay, yep, I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, so it was this surprising game, and I think it might have actually been Bowen said that he loves that game as well. But the other thing was, I've always had this challenge. The challenge I've always set myself is to see if I can enjoy Rolling Stones by Stern. Now, they had 2 Rolling Stones by Stern at Papa, and you wouldn't believe it, but most of the time neither of them were being played.
Okay.
So I would have played Rolling Stones by Stern, I reckon 50 plus times whilst I was there at Papa. And I can now conclusively tell you it is the biggest steaming piece of shit pinball machine that has ever been released. Fact.
Ever been released by Stern, or just ever been released ever?
Released ever.
No way.
It is absolutely the worst game ever made. Ever.
In other words, games you love, games you hate?
Stop. No. I'll have to edit that out. We don't say things like that. But it is god awful bad. It is just.
Does anyone have one in Melbourne? I want to play it now.
Have you never played it?
No, no one has one.
Okay.
I haven't seen any on the site.
Okay, so imagine someone puts a pinball machine in front of you and it has the most amazing layout, and you haven't played pinball for, let's say, a year, and all you want to do is play pinball. And someone puts this pinball machine in front of you and you go, oh my god, that's pinball. And then they rip off your scrotum with a hatchet. That's what playing Rolling Stones is like.
It can't be that bad.
It's really bad.
Just one thing. Name what's the worst thing about it.
Mick on a stick. Now everyone talks
why
about...
Why is that so bad? How's that any different than the QED guy in Dialed In?
Oh, okay. Because the QED guy in Dialed In is either stationary on the left, or he moves over to the right.
Yeah.
Or he's stationary. Mick just keeps going all over, and he happens to just be exactly just where you flip the ball. So you'll line it up, you'll go right. And it's hard enough that, you have to aim your shots. But when you go for a shot and all of a sudden you see him coming over, because it's really fast, and he hits and you just go, what were they thinking? Like, there's other games like that. So if you think about, Big Buck Hunter, has got a similar thing where, the buck comes across. But it sort of at least stops where it is and then it moves. Or, the crane in Batman, it sort of stops
Yeah. Okay.
Or Dracula on Monster Bash, right? You know when it comes out?
Yeah. I do.
This mech on a stick just keeps getting in the way and ruins probably a really poor rule set to begin with.
I'm trying to find out who did the rule set for it, but IPDB has no one in the software section. It's like no one wanted to put their name to it or something.
No one wants to admit to constructing such a terrible experience.
I'm going to guess it's Lonnie.
It's a terrible... It's a blight on Stern. It's a blight on pinball. I'd love to say it's a blight on Rolling Stones, but I think they're good.
Game designed by Tom Copera.
Yep.
I haven't heard of him before. And software by Lonnie D. Ropp, and with assistance from Lyman Sheets.
Lyman.
He probably just finished it off.
No, he was in training. He had his L plates on. He was training. And
wow, look at this. The other 5 machines that this guy's worked on: Johnny Mnemonic, NBA Fast Break, Cactus Canyon, Rolling Stones, and Avengers. Well, Avengers and Rolling Stones probably ended his career, right? I mean, no one has anything nice to say about the Avengers layout.
Oh, do you know what? I nearly bought an Avengers a couple of months ago, and I wish I had, because it was a really good condition one. Because I think that Avengers is a good home game, but it's not fun as a tournament game. And the latest rules that they put on it, so it was out on location, almost everywhere. And then they disappeared, they went into collections, and then they brought out the new software update, which has made it a lot more fun. And so it's actually not a bad game now.
I'll look out for you and Marty. I do have someone that I know that might be willing to sell, so we'll talk off air about that.
Yeah, we will.
But,
get it at a really cheap price.
So are we going to the mail now, Marty?
Yes.
Are we done?
Yes. We are going to the... What?
Sorry, it was an amazing Papa story. Because you've never actually told me your Papa story.
No, I haven't. So we are going to the mail bag. It is not called anything else. You can go first.
I can go first. So, an email from Daniel Luth. Dear H2H, great 3rd episode. Wasn't aware that was our abbreviation, H2H.
It is.
After being outed as a kicker and a death saver, I couldn't help myself. I couldn't do that move if I tried. Yes, so Daniel is the guy who kicked me in the shins at my pinball tournament. And I said he was doing a death save, but I was confused and I hadn't looked in the pinball dictionary recently, and it wasn't a death save.
It was a slap save.
A slap save. It was a save that pretty much made him kick me in the shins.
He still kicked you in the shins. I mean, the result was the same.
It made me reflect on one of the things I find fascinating about pinball is the different ways that people play, which often reflects their personalities. You have players who hover right over the glass, watching from above, while others, like Lyman Sheets, stand way back and low, and lower their heads so their eyes are almost level with the playfield. Some stand perfectly still and calm, while others jump around like a whirling dervish. Just an observation, but okay. So he wants to ask you now because I don't play competitions. as a top, he's giving you a compliment here. As a top competition player,
thank you.
Could you give your opinion on if there's an optimal way to address the machine? Keep it up, guys. P.S. I hope Ryan Shin is recovering. P.S. Is it true that Data East machines actually give you a reward for performing a death save?
Okay, let me answer that last one first. Yes, they do. The one that I know off the top of my head is... oh, God, it's not even off the top of my head now.
Scrape the barrel battle.
No, it was... Anyway, I'll come back to that. So answering your question, it's actually a really interesting question because everybody does play it very differently. And do you know what? I think it was about a year ago, someone said to me, I really like watching you play because you are so dead calm. You don't move at all, but then you will when you do a slap save, or you will when it's going down the outlange and you're trying to save it, but otherwise you are completely dead still. And
you also wear a suit when you play pinball, Marty.
This is true.
You're the only person I know that wears a suit.
Well, it's because I come from work most of the time, and because I work quite far away, so I have to come from a suit. So it may look really weird that there's this person standing dead still in front of a pinball machine. People might not think that I'm playing at all. But it's such a hard question to answer. What is the right style? The style is what is right for you, because I don't know how I play. I stand to my height, which is not that tall. But I don't know. Is Lyman a really tall guy and he needs to come down low? I could not have that angle of view because I need to see what's happening on all of the machine at the one time.
Okay.
So I have to be looking sort of up over the top. As I said, because I'm not particularly tall, I sometimes have to, go up on my toes to be able to see the inlanes. I don't know. I mean, if you look at most players, they can jump around or they'll be calm. I think it reflects the personality. I don't think I'm a jump aroundy kind of guy. But there have been some times where I've gotten very aggressive and managed to get some really good consistent games as a result. But I often then just end up tilting.
Okay. It's weird because I sometimes go down in the lineman stance in a really important part where I need to make the lock shot to start multi-ball on my last ball, and it's just like an intuitive thing I do. But this kind of email has made me think, well, why don't I just stay in that position the entire time? Well, I don't know. I guess, yeah, as I said, you need a bird's eye view to kind of see balls coming when you got multi-ball going on. But I don't know. I don't even know what I do. As I said, if someone films me, well, you have filmed me playing pinball.
I have filmed you.
But that's with a crowd and stuff. But when I'm on my own, today I was playing pinball, listening to music. I thought I'd try it out, and I was in the zone, man. I was dancing while I was playing AC/DC, but it wasn't the AC/DC music, and it felt good. But there's no way I could do that in a tournament because people would just make fun of me. There's no way I could.
A lot of people do wear headphones these days.
But they don't dance.
No, they don't dance. Well, some do. Bowen dances. But I don't like that because I need to hear the call-outs. I'm not very good visually. I don't see what's happening on the playfield. I have to hear it. And there's so many times a ball will drain or someone come up to me and say, "Oh, did you know you had so-and-so and this lit?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't."
Yeah.
So I don't see what's happening. I have to hear what's happening. So
we're going to do a whole episode on that, sound in pinball and how important it is.
Absolutely.
But we're running out of time, so we'll get
just
to
going
the last...
into the last part of the question.
Yeah.
So, is it true that Data East machines actually give you a reward for performing a death save? They do, and the one game I can think of that does it is Tales from the Crypt. So, if you actually do perform a death save on that, so for those that don't know, it's when the ball goes down the right out lane, you hold up the left flipper, and then move the machines, I think, to the right and to the left, or left to the right, whichever way it works, just as it hits the apron. The ball will then bounce back up into play. And if you
it's an illegal move, right?
It's a legal move. You are not allowed to do those in tournaments.
And it can wreck the machine if you do it all the time.
Yeah, it's not good for the machine.
The cabinet, yeah.
Absolutely.
So operators would have loved that rule, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Please wreck my machine.
But yeah, no, I definitely know that Tales from the Crypt does. And I can't remember the other machines, but yeah, maybe next week we'll reveal which ones they are.
Cool. Stay tuned.
Cool.
Our last email is from Mitchie. Do you want to read that one, Marty?
Cool. Hi guys, I just listened to episode 3. Thanks for that. It's fun listening to you. It really is. The interview with, if I say so, the interview with Jimmy worked really well, I thought. Why don't you do this whenever you get a chance to talk to some interesting member of the community? It would be fun, for example, to hear an interview with the Pinheads podcast guys during the ACT comp. Well,
we don't need to do that anymore because they got their own podcast. They're back.
Do you know what? They're back. I am trying to get up to the ACT Pinball Championship this weekend. I have probably got about a 10 to 15% chance of it happening. But if it does happen, hopefully I'll be able to say hi to the guys and we can organise an interview with them. And it was really funny because before hearing them come back, I was like, yeah, I really want to reach out to these guys and have an interview. And this morning when I got your message and saw that they had an episode back, I'm like, there goes the interview.
They have their own forum. They don't need us, mate.
They don't. They really don't.
We have to now go head to head with them, right?
Wow. Okay. No, you know what? It's really good to have them back. I think they're great, and I think more pinball talk, the better.
Yeah, there's no competition. We love it all.
We do love it all.
All right, Marty, I got to go because my wife is texting me and she wants to watch Rick and Morty and Game of Thrones before she goes to bed. So let's wrap it up.
Right, okay. Let's wrap it up, guys. Rick and Morty and Game of Thrones, and both of those are very good reasons. So if you want to connect with us, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. Just head to our website, which is headpinball.com. You'll find all our contact details there, all of our social media accounts, and you can email us direct at head2headpinball@gmail.com. If you email, we will read your email out, no matter how ridiculous it is. Especially if it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's it. We're done. We'll see you next week.
We will
every
see
Monday, release really late at night. And
Yes.
Am I playing us out again?
And here we go. Here's the music.
All right, you have to try and guess what pinball machine this is from. Din 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 din. Have you got it? It's Powerball Mania from Twilight Zone. Come on.
I hate that.
Your favorite pin. All right, we're done. See you
All
guys.
right, see you guys.